Belief in Qiyamah is one of the most fundamental principles of the entire religion. Some of our scholars have said, and there's an element of truth to this, you cannot read a single page of the Qur'an except that Allah explicitly references Qiyamah on it. And I didn't go over every page, but there's definitely an element of truth here. You cannot read a single page of the Qur'an except that there is an indirect or a direct reference to the Qiyamah. And in fact, one of the interesting things about the concept of Qiyamah is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala argues in the Qur'an with those who deny Qiyamah. Allah Azza wa Jal reasons with them. He uses rational arguments. He's essentially trying to prove Qiyamah in many different ways. And so we begin our talk about Qiyamah by looking at some of the primary techniques that Allah uses in the Qur'an to prove the Qiyamah. Some of the rational arguments, and it's interesting that Allah is using rational arguments here. Some people believe rationality has no role in the religion, and this is not true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using logical arguments. He's telling people who reject the Qiyamah to think that there is a Qiyamah, and He reasons with them in a logical manner, in a manner that He's trying to prove. And this is because the Quraysh, generally speaking, rejected a Qiyamah. The Quraysh didn't believe in a Qiyamah. They believed in Allah, but they didn't believe in prophets, and they didn't believe in Qiyamah. So they rejected two of the main three pillars of Islam. So the Qur'an proves prophets in many ways, but more than the prophets, because the Qiyamah is discussed more than triple the amount that prophets are discussed. More than the prophets, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the Qiyamah and attempts to prove its existence to the people who rejected it. So today, inshaAllah ta'ala, the first part, we will discuss 7 specific techniques, and this is also a summary. There is a very good book in Arabic, a very large book about how Allah Azza wa Jal proves the Qiyamah in the Qur'an. So this is a summary, and I have chosen 7 of the arguments. The first genre, each one of these is a genre. Under them are hundreds of verses. So every point has hundreds, not 1 or 2 examples, hundreds of examples. The first genre of evidences, the first technique that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses is simply to say that it is true. So this is not rational as much as it is, you need to believe in it because I'm saying so. And of course, this is the bulk of the verses. Maliki yawmiddin, the master of Judgment Day, or the judge of Judgment Day, or the Lord of Judgment Day. This is a statement of fact. Allah Azza wa Jal is mentioning. Included in this are thousands, not hundreds, thousands of verses that describe the Qiyamah. Look at look at Juz Amma. The majority of verses of Juz Amma are about Qiyamah. عَمَّ تَسَأَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ, right? إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ عُطِّلَتْ وَإِذَا الْوُحُوشُ. What is it all about? Right? All of this is about Qiyamah. Al-Haqqa, Mal-Haqqa, wa ma adraka Mal-Haqqa. All of this is about Qiyamah. So the bulk of all of these small surahs, many of the verses of the Meccan era, Allah is describing Qiyamah. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, when families will be split up. So this comes under the first genre, that Allah Azza wa Jal is telling you is going to happen, and Allah is describing it. And of these verses, Allah says in the Qur'an, وَيَسْتَنْبِئُونَكَ أَحَقٌّ هُ. They ask you, is the Judgment Day true? وَيَسْتَنْبِئُونَكَ. They're asking you the naba, they're asking you, أَحَقٌّ هُ. Is it really true? And Allah says, one of the most powerful emphases in the Qur'an, قُلْ إِي وَرَبِّي إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ. Say, indeed, by my Lord, verily it is true. If you deconstruct this verse, there's 5 ways of emphasizing, which again is beyond the scope of our class. But one of the most emphatic verses in the Qur'an about Qiyamah. They ask you, is the Qiyamah true? قُلْ إِي وَرَبِّي إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ. There's actually 6 or 7 ways, not 5, where Allah Azza wa Jalla is emphasizing over and over again. Say, verily, I tell unto you, emphasizing, it is true.